It's almost!
He's done it again! Unbelievable!
Oh, straight into the roof of the net. Nice one. Straight down the middle. So a good performance.
Hello and welcome to Firstpost. I'm Rupha Ramani. Let's get started. Right on the show today, Jannik Sinner wins US Open, and just like his win has its takers and haters thanks to the doping scandal that has engulfed him, we look at Sinner's roots. How Italian is he, and does that have its fair share of takers and haters? The Paralympics has come to a close, but not without its fair share of controversies. This one that we're talking about today, an Iranian gold medalist was disqualified moments after he won the javelin event, resulting in India's Navdeep Singh winning a historic gold. But why was Sadegh, the Iranian winner, disqualified in the first place just seconds after he was declared the winner? We'll tell you more. And wrapping up with some NFL, Tom Brady is a legend of the sport, we know that, but maybe he's not one of the best behind the mic. Fans ripped into the star quarterback and the broadcasters for roping him in this season for a whopping amount. The meme factory has struck here too. Stay to know more, but first a look at the headlines. Starting with cricket, BCCI has announced India's squad for the first test against Bangladesh. The 16-member squad led by Rohit Sharma features uncapped pacer Yash Dayal. Mohammad Shami is still recovering and so is absent from the lineup. Wicket-keeper batter Rishabh makes his comeback to tests for the very first time since December 2022. The first test starts on September 19th in Chennai. Over in tennis and the US Open, world number 2 Aryna Sabalenka won her maiden US Open title. She defeated Jessica Pegula 7-5, 7-5 to win her third Grand Slam title. With the US Open win, Sabalenka overtook Victoria Azarenka as the Belarusian player with most Grand Slam wins. Over in football, Cristiano Ronaldo's goal-scoring streak continued at the Nations League. He fired a late winner during Portugal's 2-1 win over Scotland. Ronaldo netted in the 88th minute to register the 901st goal of his career. With 2 wins in as many matches, Portugal are top of League A Group 1. And over in Indian football, the All India Football Federation, or the AIFF, has agreed to pay a compensation to former coach Igor Stimac. He is set to receive $400,000 from the board. Stimac was sacked after India's humiliating exit from the World Cup qualifiers. A bitter dispute had followed after Stimac demanded his dues. Both the sides have now decided to end the spat with this agreement. And Uganda's Olympian Rebecca Cheptegei was honoured on a giant screen at the Paralympic Games in Paris. Cheptegei, who competed in the Paris Olympics marathon, died after being set on fire by her boyfriend in Kenya. Spectators applauded as her image was displayed in a tribute. Paris's mayor has also announced that a sports facility in the city will be named after her. Jannik Sinner has managed to bring some smiles around him by clinching the US Open title. A small attempt to somehow tide over what a horrid last few weeks it has been for the world number 2. Now, he has been caught in a doping storm that has just refused to die down. Sinner failed not 1 but 2 dope tests, still got to compete and carry on playing tennis without any suspension or punishment of any kind. His answer was this title. Of course, that's not to say that he's managed to silence his critics. No, many are still miffed and have been through the US Open. Quite a few, like Nick Kyrgios, has also taken some personal jibes along the way, remarking on Sinner's celebrating his win, of course, with his girlfriend, Anna Kalinskaya, who also used to date Kyrgios. Though Sinner has somehow managed to keep the focus and win big, he himself has been troubled by all of this and addressed the issue after the win.
This title means so much for me. The last period of my career was really not easy. It's still on my mind. But when I'm on court, I try to focus on the game. I try to handle the situation the best possible way. It was not easy, that's for sure. But I tried to stay focused, which I guess I've done a great job, mentally staying there every point I play.
The tennis fraternity at large is still quite rankled by how easily Sinner was let off. how easily the investigating team got convinced by Sinner's reasoning. They are somewhat divided when it comes to embracing the Italian's dominance at the US Open here and how he's becoming the player to beat because of this incident. And it is this sense of division that we witness with regards to Sinner's heritage and roots too. Born in South Tyrol, the German influence in Jannik Sinner is hugely evident. So not 100% Italian, and that is seen in the way he is, on court as well. His calm demeanour, his cool approach, and his down-to-earth, quiet mannerisms, very unlike any Italian tennis player that's what many truly believe.
You look at other Italian players like Fabio Fognini, and he was always quite dramatic. This was great because you could get the popcorn and settle in for the show. We have also seen that with other Italian players down the years. They tend to be quite excitable on court traditionally, but Sinner is different.
That's what a veteran tennis player who's been around the circuit for decades feels. That's in an interview, of course, that Paul Hardy gave to a news agency on how he felt Sinner was apart from other Italians he'd seen over the years. Sinner clearly displays a cool German persona on court that's hard to miss. And somewhere this dichotomy in his identity is what Italy is also probably torn about. Now don't get me wrong, the country loves him, of course. The papers adore him. Just earlier this year, the Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni was also all praise for his Australian Open triumph.
Grandissimo, volevano far rivedere una cosa, perché a quel punto stavamo tutti così, ma
È più bello viverlo in quel momento.
sì,
Però è anche...
The crowd endorsements all flooding in. Sinner is a true blue Italian in the eyes of many. There are, of course, sections of the conservatives who probably relate to, say, Matteo Berrettini more than they do to Jannik Sinner. So in that sense, Italy has a hero of its own to celebrate, to laud, to sing praises of and call their very own, just that he is not really the son of the soil in its true sense. And some instances, of course, do not really play well in Sinner's path so far, like that time when Jannik Sinner pulled out of playing the Davis Cup. That did not sit down too well with many Italian fans either. The fact that he was forced to pull out of the Olympics this year, where he would have represented Italy, also didn't help. And then, of course, the doping scandal, a drug clusterbowl that has had its roots in the Italian fabric for decades. Sinner's tightrope walk in the world of tennis and his own country, Italy, has been a tough one to navigate so far. But the mental fortitude he's displayed so far through this topsy-turvy of a year itself makes for some very exciting months and years to come for him, when an German-like Italian will try to set a new world order and ignite a great rivalry, hopefully, with Spain's Carlos Alcaraz. The Paralympics, of course, concluded with India winning a historic 7 gold medals. The achievement, though, came with its own share of drama and controversy. Navdeep Singh was given gold in the men's javelin throw F41 category, despite finishing second after the final scores were announced. So what really happened? Let me break it down for you. Navdeep finished in second place with a throw of 47.32 meters, and it was Iran's Sadegh Beit Sayah who had clinched gold with a Paralympic record throw in that category of 47.64 meters. Everyone was overjoyed, none more than Sadegh. All was well up until Sadegh started celebrating his triumph. So let me explain what happened there. What did he do to celebrate? After Sadegh was adjudged the winner, he immediately did a gesture, like you can see right now, like he was slitting his throat as a way to celebrate his win. Now that resulted in a yellow card. Now, what's the yellow card here? Like we witness in football, a yellow card here too is a warning from the officials that if something like this were to be repeated, it would result in a double yellow card, and that would lead to a red card then. Here in Sadegh's case, the contest was already over. He could have walked away with a warning alone. But here's where it got a little out of hand, because the Iranian didn't stop there. Now, the noted way to celebrate any triumph, of course, is by unfurling your national flag. So what did Sadegh do? Instead of taking out his national flag, Sadegh pulled out a black flag with Arabic text written on it. A flag that Sadegh defended later to be a religious one, bearing no political sentiments, however. But according to the rule 1.11 of the Code of Conduct that's prescribed by the International Paralympics Committee, or the IPC, the flag gesture was against the ethics of the Games. So that gesture resulted in another yellow card. That amounted to a red card, which meant disqualification. His gold medal was stripped off and was awarded to second placed India's Navdeep Singh. Now, Iran was furious, of course, and appealed that decision, but it was unsuccessful. The IPC's decision was final, resulting in mixed reactions to this ruling. So here's what I think about the whole situation. I agree Sadegh didn't impose any political statement through that gesture with the flag. After the disqualification, Sadegh was obviously forced to clarify his actions, that it was in fact a religious flag to show respect towards the first Shia Imam, a sect that he belongs to. But IPC's rule clearly states that a platform like the Paralympics cannot be used for any messaging or propaganda other than sports. The IPC was doing their job of adhering to that rule and imposed it on Sadegh. Just recently, we saw Vinesh Fogart being disqualified for being 100 grams overweight at the Olympics. Seems minor, just 100 grams, but rules are rules. They are in place for a reason, no matter how unfair it may seem on the athletes, particularly who have worked so hard to get here. Sadegh too. Hence the disqualification. But from an athlete's perspective, it was the biggest heartbreak. Sadegh had gone through the grind as well. He was the winner. And had he not broken this rule twice, he would have still been holding on to that gold medal, a medal that he converted to gold from the silver that he had won in the previous edition in Tokyo. Now Sadegh goes on to, of course, refute this disqualification vehemently, saying he'd done the same thing in Tokyo and had used the same flag, and he was not penalized back then, so why now? But here's the thing, in Tokyo, Sadegh only had one violation. In Paris, it was double violation, and that's what cost him the gold medal, and of course with it, the record. He got away in Tokyo with a warning, but in Paris, he was a double offender, resulting in a gold medal win turning into nothing in a matter of seconds. That's why Sadegh broke down after the result was announced, and the situation was such that even India's silver medalist Navdeep Singh had to go over and comfort the Iranian.
I was so surprised when the red card was shown to the Iranian javelin thrower. He started crying. He was in tears and weeping. I also became so emotional that I went to him and hugged him. I consoled him. Until then, I did not know what exactly had happened and the reason behind this big decision.
But if anyone could understand the pain Sadegh was experiencing, it had to be Navdeep Singh. The F41 javelin throw category is for athletes with shorter height. And Navdeep was born with a condition that restricted his height to 4 feet 4 inches. That only meant one thing, being mocked for his size in his hometown in Haryana. A traumatic experience it would have been for anyone. The mocking was such that Navdeep used to lock himself up and not go outside for days on end. He just couldn't face the taunts. It hit Navdeep's confidence and hurt him hard, something he slowly started regaining and getting out of only through sports. Although Sadegh's loss was eventually Navdeep's gain, the heartbreak both felt at various times in their careers is one Navdeep can resonate with. Because for Navdeep, he finished 4th at Tokyo, missing the podium by a whisker. So this was redemption and glory even though it came at the cost of another's disqualification. So it made the victory bittersweet. Despite the controversial call, the two athletes here are united by one thing: the willpower to fight the world, and a world that probably isn't all that fair and just to people who are different. Sadegh's disqualification serves as an example that even the best moments in life can be short-lived, and it's always good to tread with caution. And Navdeep's goal is a reminder that good things may take time, and they will come when you least expect it. The NFL action kick-started earlier last week. Super Bowl winners Kansas City Chiefs beat Baltimore Ravens to begin their title defense. But the biggest talking point came from the weekend's regular season opener between Dallas Cowboys and the Cleveland Browns. And no one was talking about the game or the highlights of the game. The biggest chatter was around Tom Brady. That's right. The match saw the comeback of Tom Brady of sorts at the NFL, not as a player but as a commentator. The 7-time Super Bowl winner was hired by the broadcasters as a color commentator, meaning Brady's job was more than just to analyze what was happening at the game. Now, you see, a commentator can describe the event as it happens, but a color commentator usually has to do more, provide more insights, and that too interesting ones during the match, make it more colorful for the viewers catching the game. And the star power that Brady brings with him meant the focus wasn't on the match, at least not alone. This time it was not the play but the announcer who was hogging all the limelight. But the much-awaited debut didn't go as planned, because fans ended up paying a bit too much more attention than usual on every single thing Brady said, dissecting every word of his. And they did not miss a thing. The seasoned NFL fans that they are, they picked up the jitters on Brady's face and the discomfort in his voice. So while Brady was hoping for a touchdown on his broadcasting debut, it resulted in a bit of a failed field goal. That ought to hurt. A lot of dead air spaces resulted in fans going after Brady, like you saw. And it's not like Brady was walking into unfamiliar territories. He had to talk about the sport that he has ruled for years as a player. Here's a guy who has led the New England Patriots to 6 Super Bowl titles, won the Best NFL Player award thrice, and walked out into the sunset as one of the best who's played the game. But Brady was becoming a prime example of what we often are told or we hear. Even the best players, legends of the sport, will not make great commentators, like we see across other sporting disciplines too. Now, I understand the transition. It is the easiest and probably the most rewarding one to pick up. Also means you get to continue to be close to the action, so you do not miss any of it, or at least it feels like you aren't. Players often take up commentary duties after leaving the sport. We've seen that in cricket, tennis, football, where athletes join as commentators, a growing trend in the world of sports, because for broadcasters too, a popular and familiar face means more people tuning in, more viewers coming in for more than just the game. But the first outing for Brady was a rude one for sure. And really, it was a sign that Tom Brady is human too, something his heroics on the field never portrayed. On the pitch, he was superhuman, but he was still the rookie faltering in the broadcast world. And the one facing most of the brunt, though, a tad more than Brady himself, were the broadcasters. So why have fans not been too welcoming and harsh towards Brady and the broadcasters? Now, there are a few reasons for this. The first was the hype that was created before Brady's debut. Now, that is understandable. If you have managed to get a legend of the sport to finally commentate for the very first time, you will promote it to the hilt. But it was Brady's lack of eloquence and being a little uneasy about the whole thing that led to fans criticizing all that publicity for nothing. Because the color was missing from the colour commentator. Fans, of course, placed the blame on the broadcasters more so for not easing Brady into the job. But the biggest lash out was because of the money that was doled out to get Brady on board. The $1 million deal Brady and the broadcasters signed for this gig. The athlete reportedly signed a $375 million deal for a 10-year period. So with so much cash on a display not as appealing as it was advertised to be or promised to be, fans ended up being brutal. And Brady's promotion also resulted in another commentator who has been around, Greg Olsen, to be demoted. Now, Olsen's been doing this for 3 years and was loved by fans for his sheer screen presence. So all that cumulative hate was being thrown at Brady for his first ever stint. Some, though, came out to support Brady, very few and far in between. Now, I agree first impressions are important. They often end up being the last impression, but commentary is an art. It either comes naturally or he or she just needs time to hone their skills to get that much better. Maybe it was the jitters of making a debut. It's like American football. A rookie can often feel overwhelmed by the moment and the sheer bigness of it. So maybe Brady was sensing some of that. And no matter how much nerves of steel the quarterback had shown during his playing days, commentary is a different beast to tackle. So maybe this persona needs some time because Brady isn't going away, given his 10-year deal as of now. And if we know anything about him, it's that he never gives up. Time for last serve. Now, the Paralympians witnessed an electrifying end to the Games in Paris. The flame in the lamp was blown out as a signal to bring an end to the Games, and the sky was lit up as the ceremony concluded. Take a look at some of those pictures. What a glittering affair that. But that does it here on First Sports. I'll see you again tomorrow, of course. Till then, do take care. Bye-bye.